Today we have a little section, the last part of this chapter of the glories of devotional service. And in this, as you know, the Bhagavatam is conversations within conversations within conversations with a lot of questions and answers. Vaisheshika just came out with a new book called 4 Questions. Anybody read that? Excellent book. The Bhagavatam begins with what verse? Well, yeah, but first sloka. Now is the time to inquire. Now is the time to ask questions. Why now? Because there's no better time than now.
Not now.
Exactly.
Tomorrow is not there.
You got it right. Exactly. So now was the best time. Once the Dalai Lama was being interviewed, and he was asked by the reporter, "What is the happiest moment of your life?" They know his answer. Excuse me?
Now.
Now. He said, yes. It goes like this. He pauses. Says, I think right now. It's called being present. Now is the time. And one of the last of the 4 questions in Vaisheshika's book, to be present now. Now, when we say be present now, what's the modern term for that? Yeah, that was my generation. Be here now. Sorry, modern term. Mindfulness. Before we get into the verse, I'll tell a story about mindfulness. Once at Juhu Beach, Hriday Nanda Maharaj and a half a dozen other devotees were on a morning walk with Prabhupada. Who's been to Juhu? Been there? You know, you walk down that road and it takes you right to the beach. So they're walking down the road and they pass a 10-story building on the way. And as they're in front of the building, Prabhupada turns to the group. It's the same group that was going every day. For the last week, it was the exact same group of devotees who were walking with Prabhupada in the morning. So Prabhupada, as they pass the building, Prabhupada looks at the group and says, where is he? Devotees look and see, so-and-so's here, so-and-so. Prabhupada, we're all here, same group. And Prabhupada goes, where is he? So they look around. Oh, Prabhupada, it's the same group, we're all here. And Prabhupada goes, where is he? Then finally Prabhupada says, on the 10th story of that building, every day we walk by, there's a man on the balcony, and he's not there today. That was kind of Prabhupada's mindfulness. He was aware of what was going on, very, very aware. Not like myself, who would kind of be spaced out, not even sure what road I'm on. So very, very aware. So that is the theme here, to be aware, and then to be aware of what? What's the object of awareness? So now we'll get into this verse. But before we do that, we're going to do a little exercise. Because I don't come to Krsna House much anymore. I'm at the Bhaktivedanta Institute every day, and we have our own morning programs and this and that. Who here has been to our institute at the Duck Pond? Who has not been to the institute in the Duck Pond? Well, you ought to come visit. It's where the nerds live. Okay. I'm going to go around the room, just so I'm aware, and I'd like everyone to answer 3 questions. Okay. Your name, your service, and something about you that no one in Krsna House will know. So I get to know all of you a little better, and you get to know each other a little better. After all, we are personalists. So I'll begin with myself, just as an example. I'm Brahma Tirtha, more or less. I run the Bhaktivedanta Institute, more or less. And myself, I used to be a pilot. Okay. Not a very good one. Okay. So we'll begin in this room with our dear Gopal.
My name's Gopal. My service is Pujari/janitor. And some of you know this, some of you don't. I've been playing drums 57 years. I played weekends and holidays for Extra Cash, Cocoa Beach area for 15 years. Some of you know that, some of you don't. That's the only thing I could think of.
And he's pretty good at it. Okay, Adisha next.
My name is HG Sharma. I do treasury service. I honestly, I don't know what people don't know about me. I don't know.
What they don't know about you?
I like cooking.
Okay,
Is that good?
that's very good.
Okay.
My name is Nishta. My service is women's ashram leader, and I guess I bought a flute in India, but I'm horrible at playing it.
There's a flute instructor in town now, Mahesh. So we can hook you up with him. Just had dinner with him. Okay, he's expert. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I'm Radhika Priti, and my service is I work during the day for Boeing.
You work, where's that?
For Boeing.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't like pizza for the longest time as a kid.
Okay. Let's share that microphone around.
My name is Krishna Leela. My service is Krishna lunch at the campus, serving out lunch. And something that I like babysitting, and I really like spicy food.
Okay, very good. Okay.
My name is Carmen. I serve at Side Porch, and I don't like okra.
And what's the last part?
I don't like okra.
Okay.
My name is Rasika Shiramani-Das.
Who gave class yesterday? Thank you. You gave class yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And I am the Krishna House Educational Director, at least I'm attempting to do so, by the grace of Prabhupada Priya Devadasi.
Yeah. And something no one knows about you.
That I'm actually married to Srimad Bhagavatam.
That's very good. Continue.
Hi, my name's Jonathan. I'm the men's ashram leader. I used to have a chinchilla.
Okay. Continue.
My name is Ari. I do dishes sometimes / Krishna cares / untie aprons / load up the truck. I like fermented cheeses.
Okay. Lean back.
My name is Brandon, and I do the back service and serve tea at Krsna lunch. I'm also a yoga teacher, and something that not a lot of people know is that I love cats.
You love, what is that?
Cats.
Chats?
Cats. Cats.
Say again.
Like cats and dogs.
Oh, cats.
Cats.
Cat. Oh, cats.
Cats.
Cat. Very good. Okay. Well, cats can be quite interesting and affectionate.
Yes.
They relate to people in a different way than dogs. I know that. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's continue.
Hare Krishna. My name is Bruce. I make the tea and I clean the tea and I try to manage the stock. And I serve at Krishna lunch.
And you serve the tea very nicely. Now, something no one knows about you.
He serves the tea, I just make it.
Okay.
Something nobody knows about me is that I like crystals.
Okay. Crystals.
I knew that.
And they're very powerful.
You like that?
Let's continue.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I am Manish Rishi, and my main service is to serve the Krishna Prasadam at University of Florida. And there's nothing about what I like. I love to eat more sweets than spice, so that can be.
Say, what's that you like to eat?
I love to eat more sweets than spice.
You like sweets over spice. Do you know, you might not know this, but it's just something I know, that Lord Chaitanya never ate a chili pepper. Can somebody know how I know that? Where did I read that? Can somebody tell me where I read that?
True.
Yes, in a history book.
And it benefits the teachings of Lord Chaitanya called the Diet of Lord.
But not exactly. How do I know 100%? A way to know is this, that Lord Chaitanya never ate a chili pepper. Is it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita? No. Chaitanya Bhagavat? No. How do I know Lord Chaitanya never ate a chili pepper? And I know that as a fact. How do I know it?
Because it's the mode of passion.
No, it can't. You're right, but that's not how I know it. What's that? Say again? No, Prabhupada never said that. What's that? There are no chili peppers in India. They came with the Spanish and Portuguese conquistadors. They came from Mexico. And if you look at the ancient recipes, which go back thousands of years in Jagannath Puri, there's no chili peppers, nor are there tomatoes, because they came from the New World. I'm not saying tomatoes are bad or chili peppers are bad. What I am saying is this stupid idea that Vedic food means it burns your guts out is a stupid idea. It doesn't exist. Now, Prabhupada would eat chili peppers because it was good for his digestion, and if some things, chilies can be good for digestion. But the idea that burning your guts out is Vedic, it's just, there's no way to describe it as other than ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. I mean, if you eat chilies and it helps your digestion, that's perfectly fine. But, you know, we're going to discuss why Vedic things are not Vedic in a little bit. Okay, let's continue. We have who's left.
Krishna, my name is Advaita Acharya Das. I help with Krishna lunch. And my parents chanted Hare Krishna before I was born.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Some
That
people,
is cool.
some people know, some don't.
Were they initiated devotees?
No.
But they chanted.
Yeah, because the Beatles song was very popular.
Yeah.
Even in a socialist country. And as young hippies, they were holding hands and running in circles, chanting.
Very auspicious.
Hello, I'm Nate. I'm a student, and this isn't that interesting, but I played piano for 5 years.
That is interesting.
From kindergarten to 4th grade, and I lost it all. But
it comes back like riding a bicycle. And what do you study?
Psychology.
Okay. And of course, when somebody says they're studying psychology, the natural question I would ask is why. But we'll get into that. Yes. Okay. So now that I spent this time, we'll quickly go to reverse. Karchin Mad Santa Pe Akshayanti Domain Nemisoladi T Samaham Priya Sutascha Sakagu Sukho Daivam Ishtam. The Lord continued, my dear mother, Devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor change of time can destroy such opulences. Because the devotees accept me, this is, who's the me? Who? Krishna, but in what form? Kapila. Okay, good. Which is Krishna, incarnation. Because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. So in the Gita, it is stated that one may elevate himself to the higher planetary systems, even up to Brahma Loka by dint of pious activities. When the effects of such pious activities are finished, one again comes back to the earth to begin a new life of activities. So we're going to, it's a long purport, and we're going to skip some of it. In this verse, Kapila addresses his mother as Shanta Rupa, indicating that the opulence devotees are fixed because devotees are eternally fixed in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, which is called Shanta Rupa, because it is in the mode of goodness, undisturbed by modes of passion and ignorance. Once one is fixed in devotional service, his position of transcendental service cannot be destroyed, and the pleasure in service simply increase unlimitedly. For devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time. Does this mean there's no time in Vaikuntha? What does it mean then? Microphone, please.
Sometimes we hear it's conspicuous by its absence. So it's there, but it doesn't have an effect as it appears here.
Doesn't destroy.
Correct.
Krishna says, I am time the destroyer. So time destroys everything. For example, one time the Appalachian Mountains was as big as the Himalayas. But time has destroyed it. Now it's just a nice place to hike through, but not very high. The Himalayas one time eventually will be from a mountain to a molehill. So time destroys everything. Vaikuntha, time may be there, the sequence of events, but nothing is, time is not the destroyer, it's the opposite. In the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of the demigods or of time. Therefore, there is no question of destruction. When the time element is present, there is certainty of destruction. When there's no time element present, then everything is eternal. So, the reason for freedom from destruction is also described. The devotees accept the Supreme Personality as their friend, their relative, son, their most well-wisher, etc. The Lord is eternal, therefore any relationship with him is eternal. So I'm not going to read the whole purport, but this is discussing the critical nature of devotional service. In the next verse, the devotees who worship me, the all-pervading Lord of the universe, give up all aspirations to be promoted to heavenly planets or be happy with wealth, children, cows, home, everything. And the terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken by anyone who resorts to the shelter, resorts to any shelter other than myself, for I am the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of all creation, and also the supreme soul of all souls. It's like, this is very similar to a verse in the Ten Commandments. Can someone tell me which one? Come on. What does it say? First commandment, very same thing. Same thing. It immediately reminds me of first verse of the Ten Commandments. It is because of my supremacy the wind blows out of fear of me, the sun shines out of fear, fire burns out of fear of me. The yogis equipped in knowledge and renunciation engage in devotional service for their eternal benefit. Take shelter of my lotus feet, since I am the Lord. Therefore, persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in intense practice of devotional service. This is the only means of obtaining perfection. So here we're discussing the nature of devotional service. Now, I am wondering how many of you are totally liberated pure devotees? Can you please stand up? Let me ask the opposite question. All of you who are in deep Maya, could you please sit down? Okay, good. Got that one done. What does all this mean? Actually, all of you, according to a calculation given by Prabhupada, are actually pure devotees. How is that possible? You have your desires, you have your sense gratification, you overeat, you oversleep, you think of things you don't want to think of. All these things go on, and all of you are pure devotees. That seems weird. So I was with Prabhupada at New Talava, and it's a farm in Mississippi. And Prabhupada turned to the devotees and he said, if you follow the principles and chant, you're going back to Krishna. And he said, I guarantee it. And it's because Krishna says so. And it was quite a shocking statement, because we all have our weaknesses, our inebrities, our whatever we have. You study psychology, you know this well. We all have our psychology. And Prabhupada said, no, you can actually be successful. And it was the way he said it with such strong conviction. He sat there all kind of believing it. And we were nuts at that time. I'll give you an example of what nuts look like. Prabhupada was in New Orleans. And then he's going to New Talava. And anybody who's been in that area knows certain times of year in the morning, it's very foggy because it's all swamp. So Prabhupada leaves in his car to New Talava. Then there's a van, and we have the Vyasa sign. So some cowboy devotee, whose name will stay unmentioned, is the driver. Myself, my wife, my son, other devotees would jump in the van, and we're driving to New Talava to get ahead of Prabhupada. And it's fog, you can't even see the hood on it. And we're going so fast in the fog to get there ahead. We were nuts, like I'm just trying to prove it. And we passed Prabhupada and didn't know it. And then Prabhupada commented to his driver, what kind of nuts are those to drive like this in that fog? So that was Prabhupada's comment, which I heard about later. I wasn't driving, but I was terrified. And here we are, not very advanced. I mean, just, being really what I would call stupid. Yet, problems are going back to Godhead. How is it? Because we are connected with Prabhupada. We're connected with the sadhus. Because of that, gradually, and Prabhupada said 150 times, I counted, at least 150. It's a gradual process. Gradually, we're going in the right direction. What counts in Krishna consciousness is not where you're at. It counts what direction you're going. Because you could be at a very good stage, but facing the wrong direction. Prabhupada used to say about Indians, he had this very funny comment. Said Indians, I don't know if it's true now, but at that time, Indians, because they all, I would talk to a rickshaw walla who would know more philosophy than my philosophy professors at college. In India, I could speak, you're not this body, and discuss with a rickshaw walla. I knew enough Hindi to pull something off. And couldn't even discuss that with my professor at college. So he said, Indians, you're one step from Krishna, facing the wrong way, because they're looking to the wealth of the West. And he said to the Westerners at that time, you're 10 steps from Krishna, facing the right way. One time, I was teaching at a school in India. Somebody came to ask me about life in America. So I said, well, who cleans your parents' house? So my parents had very typical at that time, a maid, a maid from underprivileged part of society. It was just considered part of our family. Mary would come a few times a week to clean and help out at the house. And Mary's husband, Jasper, had an old beat-up Cadillac he would drive. So somebody asked me, well, who cleans your house? I said, well, we have a maid. And how does your maid get to work? I said, well, husband drives her. What kind of car does your husband have? A Cadillac. And at that time, the Prime Minister of India drove in an Ambassador, which anybody who's been in an Ambassador is not a very comfortable car. Not at all. And the person looked at me with eyes like, the streets of America must be paved with gold. Imagine the person who cleans the toilets drives a Cadillac. They didn't understand. It wasn't uncommon in the ghetto for people to drive old Cadillacs, which is some kind of prestige symbol, just like somebody drives a Lexus or something. It's a prestige symbol now. So these things happen. And I started describing the horror that one reason I left America to go to India. We had this horrible Vietnam War that went on. We have pollution, discrimination, all kinds of things are not very great in America. They couldn't hear any of it. All they could think is, how can I get to this land of gold, this wonderful land? So this is one step from Krishna facing the wrong. They already knew Krishna's God, they already knew Ananta's God, already knew the Gita. And we were 10 steps from Krishna, but facing the right way. So that's what we are in Krishna house. We maybe 10 steps, 9 steps, whatever, 12 steps, some people's cases. We would be so many steps of facing the right direction. Now, what's it like when you join an ashram? I'm going to give an analogy that may make things a little clear. Who here has been in the army? Okay, been in the army. What's it like when you join the army? You first join.
Like I'm a
No. What was it like? What did they do? What's the first thing they did when you joined?
first thing I do is make a good push-up.
Okay. And which army were you in?
U.S. one
Okay. For how long?
for 3 years. This year.
The first thing they did is they gave you a haircut. Right?
Well, first thing off the bus.
Yeah, you got off the bus and then a haircut.
Well, the first thing they did when we got off the bus was execution. Yell at us, act crazy. And when you pull fear, you know.
Yeah.
And then a haircut.
Yeah, that's why they don't give guns out right away, because you'll shoot the sergeant. And what was your experience?
Similar. They call you for the call. How was it? If you were creation of, as you said, some process.
Yeah.
System.
Yeah, I couldn't stand that. So I went for officer training to avoid that. But I wasn't very good at that either. I don't have good eyesight. Oh, you were in the Army too? Air Force. So what was it like when you joined?
They made us got off the bus for hours, take our lunch. Change it to the other side.
Yes. So and my goal is to institute that kind of discipline in the ashram here. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Okay. But what's that?
Go ball too.
Go ball. And that's what it's like when we join an ashram. The first thing we're doing, and the army actually has a science to this, and I've studied. When you join, first thing they're doing, it's very Gita what they're doing. It's very interesting. It's very Gita-like. In what way? The first thing that happens when you join is, and are you two enlisting? Are you going to enlist? Oh, I just want to ask. Okay. The first thing is they want to change your identity. Your identity as you know, I'm cute Louis who my mother thinks is the best thing on earth. They want to get rid of your false ego so you become a team. Because you're going to fight, and if you're not a team, you're going to die. You are going to die if there's a war going on. You have to be a team that is cooperative and knows how to work together. So first thing they do is they're smashing your false identity. Sound like the Gita? Gita begins, Arjuna, you're a fool. You're a fool. You're smashing the false identity. Then something else happens. And people joke about it, but the army is actually not bad about this. At least most armies. First, you're not this body. You're a nobody. Just be humble and blah, blah, blah. And God, I hated that training. But anyway, they're just getting you to get rid of some of your false ego so you can be part of the team. Then the next step is the opposite. Same thing as in the Gita. The next step is, okay, we've shaved your head, we've done this, we've done that. Now you've finished your basic training. Now we're going to find out what you're good at, and you're going to use that in service to the country. You're a marksman, you're an intelligence officer, you're a supply person, and the military, all jokes aside, is not bad about that. At least my experience is they're often good at finding out what you're good at. Then you engage. You might grow out your hair a little bit, you're going to change your appearance, you're going to get back your individuality. But your individuality is in a more mature state. That is exactly what we're doing at Krishna House. When you come here, we somehow try to smash our false egos. We have our false egos of we think we're so important, we think we're so wonderful. We kind of get us down to size, then we rebuild ourselves up. Why? You're a psychologist. Why? It's very strange. I first read the Gita. It struck me how much psychology there's in the Gita. The last several chapters just going into details of the modes of nature. So this is supposed to be a spiritual text. Why psychology? Then it became clear. Why so much psychology? Because we have to, as the saying goes, know thyself. But in order to know thyself, first you have to do the clearing stage. Then after the clearing stage, then you can gradually bring into your real deeper identity, which takes us to this chapter, which is your real identity is in relation to devotional service. So why at Krishna House are we always talking about service? Because it's by service is how we get rid of our false ego. It's by service we get rid of our envy and jealousy. Krishna says to Arjuna, I have given you this secret because, what's the reason? So there's a reason I'm giving you the secret. What's the reason? What is it?
I don't know exactly.
Exactly. You got it exactly. Because you're not envious. So how do we get rid of envy? Every one of us has a certain amount of envy right here, a certain amount of jealousy. It's the nature of the material world. So much do I have today, the Gita says, so much more do I want tomorrow. So we're trying to gradually raise our consciousness. And as we raise our consciousness, it purifies our heart. So in the beginning of devotional service, it can be very difficult because we're smashing that false ego. It can be difficult. mean, I found it that way. You know, I had so many images of myself and who I am. And it's not that we're giving up our personal identity. It's that we're putting it in the closet. And so we can achieve a deeper personal identity as ultimately a servant of Krishna. So we have to put it to rest a little bit, put it away a little bit. Same thing they do in the army, to some degree. Same thing Krishna did for Arjuna in the Gita. And the same thing that happened here, in which Kapila Dev is instructing his mother, and he's telling his mother that if you receive these transcendental opulences, nothing can destroy it. This is permanent. You are now establishing your deeper, deepest relationships. And why did I begin the class asking to know you all a little better? Because the key to Krishna consciousness is personal relationships. Ultimately, if we want a relationship with the Supreme, and every religion advocates that relationship, but charity begins at home. And by developing transcendental relationships among ourselves, we are actually practicing how to develop relationships with the Supreme. And by developing relations with the Supreme, it improves relationships among ourselves. Once Prabhupada said, nothing can stop Lord Chaitanya's army other than internal dissent. Nothing. It's that powerful. So with that, I'm going to stop here, see if there are any feedback, comments, questions, anything anybody else would like to, any reflections anybody would like to add what's discussed today. Advaita.
Thank you very much for the class. I want to appreciate the point of not getting rid of, but like changing the focus of from ourselves to others. Because it seems like, you know, the benefit, not just army, but in any institution that promotes service for betterment of humanity, that's kind of the first step of changing the focus and attention from ourselves to others. Or as the saying goes, you are so special, just like everybody else.
Very well put. Yeah, it's a real conundrum how to give up our false ego and not our sense of self. That's the conundrum. Because if we give up entirely our sense of self, then what are we going to do? Merge into something? That's not going to satisfy us. But giving up the false ego. Now, how do we know which is false ego, which is my deeper desires? That you get by purifying our consciousness to goodness. How do you get into goodness? There's only one key. I've told this story before, but it's worth it for those who haven't heard. So I had the good fortune of spending several days talking to Prabhu. And I wasn't a devotee, but somehow the good fortune, a rare set of circumstances developed. I was the only guest at the first Mindful Festival. The only guest. Because there was nothing there. Rice patterns and tents. And there was 60 or 70 devotees. Now, who here is under 23 years old? I'd say, firstly, everyone I was with is under 23, sometimes 20. 60 or 70 devotees, all very young. They were very zealous to preach. There's one person who preached. It's a little bit of a dilemma, that one person. And so, and I was given a lot of unsolicited advice. A lot. Finally, I got to talk to Prabhupada later on. So Prabhupada, what do I do? I mean, I want to sort of increase my devotional acumen, but there's so much different advice. Everyone would tell me what was most important to them, like getting up early in a cold shower. That's the whole secret. Reading books, eating prasadam, not eating too much, eating all you can eat. You know, it was advice after advice. There were piles of should. The should had risen up to my nose. And what I just said, Prabhupada, what's the real secret? And the most important thing, said, just good association. It all falls into place. That's it. That was simple as that. Good association doesn't mean someone who might wear a dhoti or have a neck beat. It means someone you can trust with your heart. And they can trust you. That was the whole secret. If you do that, you make steady advancement, gradually, guaranteed, and slowly the things you don't want fade away and your real deeper spiritual identity becomes manifest. Simple as that. Okay, with that, any final question? If not, we'll stop here. Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Which